friends and viewers. Among the autobiography, one of the best biography I've ever read is the autobiography of Malcolm X, the black American leader, the leader of Nation of Islam. And this is very wonderful, very interesting autobiography, I think, ever written. So this is an extraordinary, but brilliant, painful, important book. Malcolm X. This is the story of Malcolm X. He had written its own story. This is an autobiography by Malcolm and Alex Haley. Alex Haley is the famous writer of the book The Roots that was published in 1965. The same year as Malcolm X was assassinated. It was the result of the collaboration between Malcolm X and journalist writer Alex Haley. So this is the life story of Malcolm X. Said he had himself written about his life, how he had faced, how he born, how he had faced discrimination in white American, among the white people, being a black born man. So this is a very interesting book. I think we should, everybody should read this. And this is the story of ups and downs, how a man from the decline of its life, how he rose up as a great leader. So Malcolm X is born in Malcolm Little, as he was called, in Omaha, Nebraska, America. The Midwest during the period is full of discrimination and racial violence. Malcolm's family moved to Michigan, where they continued to experience persecution and violence. White people murdered Malcolm's father and forced his mother into a mental hospital. After living in a Michigan detention home and completing the 8th grade, Malcolm moves to Boston, Massachusetts to live with his half-sister Ela. In Boston, Malcolm quickly becomes involved in urban nightlife. He passes for being much older than he is, wearing flashy clothes, gambling, drinking, doing drugs, and dating an older white woman. Sophia Malcolms eventually takes a job as a railway porter. He then moves to New York, where he begins working as a hustler in Harlem. Malcolm's various jobs, these include running numbers, selling drugs, steering white people to black brothel, and also commits armed robberies. When life in Harlem becomes too dangerous for Malcolm, he returns to Boston, where he becomes a house burglar and eventually arrested in prison. Malcolm transformed himself, converting to the branch of Islam promoted by the Nation of Islam, which has already converted a number of Malcolm's siblings inspired by the faith. So Malcolm stops using drugs. He reads voraciously, prays, studies English and Latin, and joins the prison debate team. The prison releases Malcolm on parole. Malcolm moves in with his brother Wilfred and becomes very active in the Detroit Temple of Nation of Islam. Malcolm receives permission to drop his last name, which a white slave owner gave to one of his ancestors. He adopts the placeholder X as his last name, using the letter to represent the last name of African ancestor. Malcolm X soon meets the Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad and rises quickly from the rank of temple assistant in Detroit to the nation's first national minister. Malcolm X became known throughout the United States, even outside of the Muslim circles, as the fiery advocate for black unity and militancy. The Nation of Islam leader resent and fear Malcolm despite his allegiance to their cause, and they suspend him from the organization. Nation of Islam frustration with Malcolm intensifies, and Malcolm began receiving death threats after the decisive argument with Ali Jah Muhammad. Malcolm leaves the Nation of Islam. He uses his fame to found his own organization, Muslim Mosque Incorporate. He sees his organization as more politically active than Nation of Islam. On a trip to Middle East and Africa, Malcolm discovered that he sees as a true Islam. The version of Islam contrasts with the version of Islam he was been teaching. By the end of the life, Malcolm X is an international figure, welcomed by foreign leaders and commitment to Islam as a religion that can elevate the racial problem of the United States. He is assassinated in 1965. So the theme of this, what we found is this: what is the message he delivered in this in his autobiography? Malcolm changing perspective on racism. Malcolm changing views of American racial problem reflect the development of his character. When as a child he sees both of his parents destroyed by white society, he feels despair about the plight of black people. His attitude changes, however, after his experience in black ghettos of Boston and New York developed to him the philosophy that black people should not accept help from the white people, and teaching of the Nation of Islam that he receives in prison effect a further change in both Malcolm's character and the view of white people. He simultaneously abandons the wild past and embraces a systematic hatred of whites. He later travels in the Middle East, cause another profound change. His break from the American Nation of Islam coincide with his newfound belief that black people will be successful in their struggle for equal rights only if they identify with oppressed people across the globe. His attitude at the end of war contrast with his previous belief is that he now support white participation in struggle for black emancipation, whereas the earlier does not. So similar between hustling and activism. Though Malcolm gives up gambling, smoking and crime while in prison, he experienced as an evangelist after prison in similar in ways to the earlier experience as a hustler. Malcolm retains insights, skills and values from his life as a hustler that serve in his later role as a religious authority and media personality. For example, Malcolm used the knowledge he gains in Harlem to distrust people, to know his enemies, and to craft his public image carefully. In his dealing with the Nation of Islam and with the press near the end of Islam, Malcolm jokes to a university audience that he took his bachelor degree on the streets of Harlem. So he, the man who all of a sudden who became mature, and he rise up from a very dangerous criminal to the rank of the world, a black leader, a very famous black leader. So these are the incident. If we read, this is a very lengthy autobiography, completely short, shortly after his assassination in 1965. So in this we can find a rage, a despair, Malcolm. So characters you can find in Malcolm known as a Little, Malcolm, Detroit, Red, Saturn, and El-Haj Malik al-Shahbaz, his name. Malcolm as a Little Malcolm. As a young boy, Malcolm is bright, popular, but feels excluded by white people. Malcolm as Detroit Red, Malcolm becomes a ruthless hustler on the street of Boston or New York. Malcolm as a Saturn. Malcolm goes to prison where he undergoes a change of heart. Malcolm as Malcolm X. After his release from prison, Malcolm develops an aggressive and persuasive spokesman for the Nation of Islam. So Malcolm as Ali Aji Malik al Shabazz is an independent international political leader. Malcolm is tolerant, mediative, and ambitious. Elijah Muhammad, the spiritual leader of a nation of Islam. Malcolm treats Elijah with immense respect even before he knows him, writing him letters daily while still in prison, though he seems like a benevolent father figure. Elijah Muhammad becomes a jealous and defensive leader as his health fails and Malcolm becomes more powerful. So Sister Betty, Malcolm's wife and quite strong woman, Shorty, Malcolm's best friend, Ella Little, Earl Little. So these are the characters involved in this autobiography written by Malcolm X. One of the best autobiography, very interesting. Very interesting. So anybody who reads this will enjoy it and will get an enormous experience about his life. So I hope when you will read it, you will enjoy it. Thank you for patient listening.